Welcome to Larp Academia, and as you can see, I have a awesome new, bit of garb tunic. My person who leads my house on Amp Guard got this for me since he's like, hey, tired of seeing you look like trash. I even have a nice little hood that I put off and on so much that my hair is just completely messed up, but it's so cool, and I love it. So that is the new attire that you see, and in preparation for us all getting back out there, some of you already have, you may have realized that, hey, we're a bit rusty, but we still want to fight, we still want to do some cool things, and that's why this video is dedicated to the most dangerous type of weapon moves or the most dangerous attacks that you can do. This is for our own personal safety, so please do not do these, and if you see someone doing them, kindly ask them not to or explain why this is a bad idea. The first and most dangerous weapon move that I think exists out there is using a shield and spear in one hand, or even when using it in two hands like this. Now you might think, Wizzo, what's so bad about this? This looks actually pretty safe, pretty controlled. Well, here's the problem. If I use it like this, it restricts my movements. It's not that great already, and it's not a good idea. It's not too bad. The problem is when you get armed. Now, if I get armed and I do this, I stab and I have no control. If I don't have the shield, I can still somewhat control it a little bit, you know, bring my spear up around. But if I grab my shield from the ground and I do this, I'd usually have my spear, it's hard to show there, I would have my spear on top of my punch area. This doesn't really work for a strap shield, so you'd probably want to only do it with a punch. And if you ever try to wield a weapon like this, then you will have no control. You also won't have any control if you make it right upon the punch area of a shield. I tried this at a camp out once, thinking like, you know, I could try this out for my ranger druid, making it so that I could have a shield and a pole and it'd be awesome. But whenever I did this, whenever I attacked or tried to bring it up, naturally you can see it slides up. If I attack like this, all it needs to do is be hit a little bit and I don't have control to bring it down, it just pops up. So the issue is a lot of the attacks pop up. And when the attacks pop up from a pole being thrust, well, you can see directly where it goes, into the person's face. I tried this naively at a camp out only a few years ago, thinking that it would be a good idea, and it was not. I still apologize to that person who I hit multiple times trying this. It was terrible, and I still feel bad about hurting her so much from this thing. Like, it's not. Don't ever do this. This is by far the most dangerous weapon move that you can do with just your weapons and just your equipment, because of just how uncontrolled and how terrible it will be. Even if you're decent with a spear, this will still be a very bad thing and have very bad results. Now, the next most unsafe weapon move that we have kind of on the list is one that everyone tries. They try to do the side-to-side ors from here to there, where if you get the idea, from here to here or from here to there, just feint and then go over. The reason why should be very obvious to you. If you swing and then go around, you actually have that point of contact where you make. So it's actually much safer to swing, hit something, and then go around. If you try to do a feint, however, this is terrible, because what happens is you feint and then you hit that person's head. 90% of the time, even if you practice it, because that person's moving in combat, you think that they'll move a little bit forward, so you pull it back a little bit more to go around easier for a quick one. Well, they go back and it just hits their head. So don't ever, if you can, feint to one side and then go to the other. Make solid contact and then go to the other. Even if you make solid contact, it's still possible that when they move, you hit the head. But if you hit here and then swing around to the other side, making sure you have a wide berth of the person's head, it's not a very great move, since it allows your arm to be super exposed and you're wiggling and wobbling your elbow and your wrist, and it's not the best. If you know how to do it with your body and moving around, then it can be better, but Even then you saw it just looks, I look weird, like some little wibbly wobbly noodle thing. But again, do not ever do a feint and then go over, because even if you want to bring the momentum to bring it up, when you hit a person, it bounces and it goes over. When you go here, there is no give to bounce up. It just, even if you try to go up, you still hit the person's head. So never feint to one shoulder and then the next. Shoulder to shoulder can be very bad. The next most difficult move that you can do is a spin. Now, we've shown spins where you'd go all the way back around. Obviously, you don't want to do it with like a small shield that doesn't really protect a lot there. But a more medium shield, you could do a little spin, go around, and it could be fine. And you could even do a spin in place where you try to go into one area and then spin or something to get a better angle. That wasn't even a practice spin. But that's part of the issue, is that if you don't have it practiced, one, you could like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna you expose yourself. One, it's stupid. You look like an idiot and you'll get killed. Second, you could trip on yourself, which leads you to fall on yourself, other people, or even the person you're attacking, as well as dying. And third, most importantly, you don't have a good gauge of the distance. So if I'm trying to spin into the person, I could whoop-hi, and then, well, that's actually a more calculated spin because that's what I'm used to doing. But instead of having that attack, I could go whoop, 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 and then knocking into the camera. You can see if that was a person, I just ram into them, knock into them, charge in, and I can knock myself down off balance. I can knock someone else off balance. You don't want to just go into a spin. You need to have practiced it at least a few hundred times before you really use it in combat. It's not something that you can just do all of a sudden. Like, no, you have to have some practice behind it, or else, it's not good. And that's only for people who are more advanced with footwork anyway. So if you're a new person trying that, don't. For safety's sake, don't. Another thing that you should not do is, even if you can, usually you shouldn't do this, is shield bash or charge. The reason being, even in games like Belagarth or those that allow it, is that if you shield charge into someone, one, it's very easy for the other person to, when you get close enough to, sidestep kill you. The other reason is that if you are shield charging and you're not very used to it, like you're not used to the shield charge, someone could sidestep you, try to readjust, you stumble over yourself, you fall, and then you take quite a few rolls and hurt yourself, or fall into someone else, hurting them as well. Or let's say you do land the attack. You land the attack, you're not used to it, you took a full run, you didn't go like half sprint or figure out, hey, maybe I should have some control. No, you went and fully ran into that person. You full bash into them, and then they fall down. They get hurt, you fall on top of them, you guys do a tumble together. It's like you're trying to do some weird activity, and it ends up usually with someone getting hurt, the game being stopped, everyone checking if you're okay, because this is one of the most unsafe moves that you could do with a shield. It's literally to shield bash someone. Well, not shield bash, but shield charge someone. Just a bash is not too bad, actually, in most games. But shield charging, you need to have control, you need to have some experience, and you need to be able to control your momentum. Otherwise, very bad. Very bad. In addition to that, one other terrible thing that you can do with a sword is to thrust. Now, you might be thinking, well, like a stab is common. It's like it's a normal attack. Yes, this is not the thrust I'm talking about. An unsafe thrust is one that thrusts like this. Now, in slow motion, upwards. Upwards. If you recall, one thing that I showed with the spear was that it has a problem of being knocked up, or you don't have enough control and it goes into someone's face. Whenever you stab upwards, you're going to do that. The only thing I can hit when I stab like this is someone's face, someone's eye, someone's cheek, someone's nose, just part of their face. That's the only thing I can do when I stab up. That's why you want to be careful of your thrusts. When you stab, you want to thrust somewhat straight, a little bit angled down if possible, and if possible even to twist so that it's not going to be pushed aside as much. But that's a little bit more advanced with thrusting. The main thing you don't want to do is thrust up like this, or do an underhanded thrust where your hand is in this position. If you're ever thrusting like this, stop. Just don't. That's all I can say. Don't do that. You could thrust with your hand like this to the side. You could thrust like this with your hand down. Well, down could be a problem if you're going like this. Obviously, don't do that. That's an obvious one that no one would be stupid enough to do, you'd think. But never have your hand be like this, pointed upward when you thrust. Even if you're trying to hold a basic block, just don't thrust when it's going in this direction, or you will hit the person's face, and that's really all you can hit. The last thing that is the possible worst thing you can do with a sword is just flailing. See, new players, they haven't trained their body to where it's more like coordinated movements where I go here and then I go around and then I do this because I know a bit about body mechanics. No. New players just flail around because they don't have as much potential strain or issues on their wrists and elbows. They don't feel when they're doing something stupid yet. They don't feel when they're hurting their body. So they're going to hurt their body that way, first of all, for flailing. But for other people, it's also a problem. If you see them flailing around, then normally just stop the comment like, hey, you can't attack it like that. It's just going to hurt someone or hurt yourself. Because what it can do when people flail uncontrollably is, imagine this attack, but with no control. So it's, you just keep hitting that person in the head. And even if you go down here, again with the spear part where they had less control, you hit them here where they have no control of their hand, it's knocked up, it's going to hit someone's head. Even if it's someone else trying to deflect that attack because they're way over here and like, just go away because you're weird and spazzy, then they could hit someone else and injure them. So having no control on your sword, like swinging as if your hand's not even gripped around it, or if your hand is gripped around but you're not having any control, is terrible. That's something that you need to stop the new person from doing. Be like, hey, calm down. You need to swing with purpose, or else you're not going to kill anyone. You're going to die, which is the other part of flailing that makes people usually stop, is that it doesn't do anything and they just die. And secondarily, it can be dangerous. Now, the last thing that we need to talk about are these two-handed weapons. There is a very common thing with two-handed weapons that you want to do. You can swing in from the side, you can swing in here, crossing your arms, being an idiot, which isn't really dangerous, more than just like, just kind of flips out. You could kind of poke up a little bit. Usually this is just a crotch shot as the worst, because I'm not swinging up like this. You see where my hands are? They're this way, so the thrust isn't going to matter. But the real problem with the two-handed weapon is when you're like, I want to hit that shoulder. Whoa, bam! Really? This is never a good idea. Even if someone has a shield. I've had this happen where in Velogarth I had a shield up. It was good, it was sturdy. Even in Amp Guard I've actually had this where I've had a shield up, it was sturdy. I bring it to block my head, and when it connects, I feel like a little kink in my head, because even if I bring it up, it's going to brace my head. My head is the sturdiest part from this angle, and if I have my neck bent in any way, it will do that little crink where it just hurts so much. It may not make a sound, but you get the idea. If I don't bring my shield to block and they're trying to hit my shoulder, well, there are three areas. I'll hit this narrow area. I'll hit this narrow area. I'll hit this big moving target that has a surface area of just about both shoulders, or at least it seems like 5 when a person's moving. So the likelihood of you bringing your two-hander down and hitting someone in the shoulder, it's not that likely. You're probably going to hit their head. Even if they bring their sword up, you're going to injure their hand as you knock it down, because you don't usually bring, this is not braced. For example, if my arm's right here and someone attacks in, I can brace it. But if I have my arm here, there is nothing to brace this. If I really try, I'll push my elbow out and I can already feel the strain right there that it would do. It's not good. You do not ever want to take your two-handed weapon and swing down like that. No, because even an Amp Guard with light weapons like this, it can still really mess someone up. In Velogarth, or ones that have heavier weapons, I can only say it's pretty terrible. And some things that two-handed people say is that, well, I'm going to feint. So they go and they bring it up to have someone block their head, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to turn it around. And at this point, if you're bringing enough momentum to actually make it a feint, then they're going to bring their shield up or something, because you're not able to stop the feint. If you try to stop here, I don't have that much momentum. If I'm going to go, I can't stop it. I can't stop it until it's hit someone, if I have enough power in order to make a convincing feint. So in no way is this a good idea with a two-handed weapon if you care even somewhat about people's safety. And with that, that is, well, our thoughts on the most dangerous weapon techniques that you could do. If you have any other dangerous weapon techniques, I would love to hear your thoughts. But until next time, have fun, stay safe, and keep LARPing.